How do we come to that which we hold most dear? And what is the cost, the damage caused? Surely do no harm is a good place to start with a perspective on the world, which is not to say it is not inevitable if we eat, something must be harmed, if only a plant. And who am I to say that they don't suffer? If, to continue my long-winded line of thought, I am not brought up with grievance, conscious or how do I empathize with those who insist I am weak but he is strong? If I am brought up to believe, for instance, that we, me and mum and dad are a race apart, threatened by foreigners, aliens, if that trope is buried in my psyche, that warning, I will see signs of it everywhere and from now on. And someone will say, he was well brought up. And he will rub hands together and feel a job well done. How am I to grow up? Am I to grow up? I might maybe by some active imagination of rebellion decide I am not surrounded by enemies, that others don't mean me harm because I am I, that I might stop reading those signals in the happenings of my life. I might, for instance, apply to college, not get in and feel a little peaky, but not think I was robbed. That someone took my place unfairly. I might even feel that the mum and the dad and the preacher and the teacher who taught me such stuff were wrong and even intentional in getting me to blame the other for what they themselves had done to me. Or I might feel that they were grounded in a desire for control of their children, that they conceived and identified themselves as these teachers, these wise ones. Or I might think all the above is possible, may be true, but I can be free of it. I don't need to take their lesson and apply it to them, that they know not what they did, or that they were caught in some awful legacy. Romeo might have said, Juliet might have known, and Capulet might have responded, without a devil of Montague, I occupy no space. I have no meaning. Think about it. Then think about it again. I ask myself, so you needn't, who do I think? Why do I think this is possible? This unaggrieved life, this unthreatened one. Or with threats one can subdue or disarm without killing them. I feel it in my bones. And to be clear on where we are, if I say I am pro-Palestinian today, I am construed as anti-Semitic. If I am BLM, I am anti-American or anti-white, or the only way you trust me is if I carry a gun for you. A woman today on Substack wrote about the phenomenon that is Zoran Mamdani, that he was a fixative of youth, that when she was 27, she'd have loved him too. She was young and naive then, without the reality of adulthood to set her straight, that driving the billionaires from New York would leave it a wasteland, never wondering how unjust and how undemocratic that conceiving of New York or ancient Rome is. This is the reality. The young and naive must adjust to keep the king happy, or he will abandon you to homeless criminals. As I have hinted before, I don't think Mamdani is the thing. I think it is a sort of collective consciousness, to borrow a cliche, that explains he and the other surprises, Obama, Bernie, and so on. So it is not the media that convinces us that he is an aberration. We convince ourselves, without the self-criticism of Socrates or even Jesus. Every now and then, we just assume that what we want to be true is. The older woman, disdaining her younger woman, seemed quite victorious. And I wonder why. My attitude, and that of more and more, it seems, does not come of indoctrination. The indoctrinated, of course, think of those who disagree with them as indoctrinated oppositely, but it may be absence of indoctrination, in fact, and we might just be lucky in this. It is chastening to hear the left claim the right is seething with conspiracy theories, conspiratorially. Someone posted yesterday a quote from LBJ that he respected a comedian for mocking him, with the comment that someone could learn from him, as if Trump had personally fired Colbert, where in fact it was CBS and Paramount kneeling to the powerful because Trump had sued them over, what was it? I think pretty sure that he sued them for 10 billion because they doctored a 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris to make her sound coherent. My God, what a world. I'm pretty sure TV does that all the time for one thing, but then they, Paramount, settled for 16 million. And it is thought that Colbert was fired as what? Further obsequiousness? Anyway, quite a contortion and a treasury of skullduggery and blame to a lot. But Trump did not demand Colbert be fired. What is it that you need? Will no one rid me of this meddlesome comic? And an added tale. Someone insisted Colbert should obey his boss, an American who insists perhaps on our exceptional human rights. My take is that in fact the people employ Colbert. They did not fire him. A cowardly corporation did. And if they were appeasing a selfish giant, they shouldn't have. They are to blame. It is hard anywhere today to rail against injustice. There is a lot of it about. It is almost impossible to dissent from the indoctrinated, the apparatchiks that all indoctrinations create. And I guess it is in this confusion we turn to leaders, like children. I have to say it, turning to Dad, and we know how much dads love that shit. Some even think it is the essence of daddydom, that he knows best. My daddy, as I remember, had a decent fear of the young, his own young man and mine when we set to. He couldn't double down, but daddydom is rife among us. It is hugely the keel of our civilization. It is doctrine versus intuition, which doctrine always loses and resorts, therefore, to violence. There is a lot of sad rage now on Threads. That mess of men and women so beleaguered by Israel that they have taken to screeds about her inherent superiority. The rants get very close to Hitler's Israel über alles type stuff. But as far as I can tell, it is only natural. Done by all of us, always, all sides. Again, brought up as we are with mom, dad, and preacher, hinting that all that is bad beyond the village, all that is good within, except for that awful uncle we have to banish every now and then. We know these cultures, they are incestuous. Often. There's a new meme on social media among the progressive lot. The normie liberals, chuckle, chuckle, snort, snort. A wan blonde with fire in her eyes says, I've had it with moderates. What I hear, the guy who cuts my hair, he's gay, but I don't go along with all this other shit. I just think at this time you're either batshit crazy or you're for everybody. Not a progressive trait, let alone a Democrat one. This lovely person is as normie as Karl Marx on a pub crawl. I hope going forward that the American people, the British people, can turn their backs on this self-referential political class and build some new barns and some decent housing for their refugees. I want no part of any moderates and or moderation, says Normie. Well, that just sank every CNN talking point ever.